Namaste and very good evening to all our participants, our esteemed faculty, and our honorable guests. I, Ashka Thara, Senior Manager for Communications and Policy Engagement GRAAM, welcomes you all to the inaugural session of Public Policy and Program Evaluation. So, now that we are settled, I would like to call upon Dr. Raju to formally introduce our guest and introduce the 3PE program.
This is saying in management, what is not measured is not. It is important to understand whether our actions, programs, policies are yielding intended results. Although policies and program intentions are good, even though sometimes if we don't see intended results, it should not be counterproductive to the overall system. I have an anecdote to share. Almost 15 years ago, we were evaluating the treatment counseling centers in India, Northeast, we had to visit, and there was a surge of HIV infections at that. So we tried to understand from the community what was the reason. So, a simple, which actually caught us in real dilemma. So, the sudden ban of injection syringes. Why? Because there was a drug, substance abuse. So some policy maker thought if you make injection syringes not available, to the general public, it's only available to the medical community. So the people don't use, people stop taking drugs. What happened? Sharing the syringes. Intent of policy maker was not found. Intent was absolutely, but what the policy produced is absolutely. This is one of the major reasons why all of us who are in the research domain or the public policy domain need to be more cautious and conscious about making policy. Our small decision can be completely counterproductive if not productive. So with this fact, also as we all know, our honorable Prime Minister is emphasizing on evidence-based policy. He is increasingly talking about people-focused, people-centric, participatory governance, and for that, a resounding public policy is required. All these contexts, the 3P is designed in order to create a collaborative learning community in the pursuit of human and social capital development, as our founder keeps saying. That's the intent GRAAM started the 3PE program. I thank all our collaborators, especially Cornell University, for being with us right from the beginning. Experimented this program, what was that as 21 days program. Went through iterative processes, took the feedback of all the participants. Now, in the fourth edition, in this outcome, a 12-day intense program, which starts from 9 and ends at 7:30 or 8, I don't know. So that's the kind of rigorous program is 13 days we go through. Thanks for the support of Tata Steel, thanks for the support of QCA, to mention few of our collaborators right from the beginning who invested their tremendous faith in our program and continuously being with us. And I also thank INVITEE for hosting us this program. I take the opportunity to welcome all our dignitaries. In the interest of time, I'm keeping it short, not going to their brief profile, their accomplished personalities. So we have the privilege of listening to Mrs. Thara today. So she'll be sharing her experience as a bureaucrat, policy maker in public policy domain. We welcome you, madam, for this program, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation at the Academy. I take this opportunity to extend welcome to Honorable Director General of INVITEE, Surendra Nath. So welcome you for this program, and it has been support is incredible. And I take this opportunity to welcome the chair of the program, the founder of GRAAM, and presently the member of the Academy of India, Professor Dr. R. Walsh. Professor Sarosh, Professor Cornell International High Law School, Labor Relations. I welcome Dr. Arun Karpur, Director of Artisan Speaks. I welcome Professor Thara to speak so for this international program today. And welcome all of you, all the participants, all the engaged and used participants for this program, but also people who have joined online across different places. This program is also being live streamed on our social platforms. Every special lecture, every special lecture actually. Friends must see. The icing on the cake is 3 special lectures, along with which is also the fourth one. The initial first lecture is starting today, and after that there will be 3 special lectures from 5 to 6 o'clock on 3 different days. So all those things are something need additions to this edition of the 3P program. I hope you will enjoy this. Thank you once again.
Raju, I would now like to call on our honorable guests to light the lamp of knowledge and inaugurate the 13-day immersive public policy and program evaluation workshop.
The 5 was These are not designed for this night. So they go for music.
That's only for lighting of knowledge.
Yes, I said
Lighting for knowledge. Sir, are you idea?
yes.
Being of humble. We daily the jaldi aap
It's a You already criticized all of us with being up with better do it once.
नहीं अभी नहीं कर पूरे टाइम हो जाता है
Faster. Logic. You should say yes. Fine. Very interested.
गुजराती के लोग भी चल
Not great. Good. So. Thank you. This is slightly better than that. Please say that here.
Thank you.
And the people German
First today, Ms. D. Thara, a 1995 batch Gujarat and IS. Ms. Thara is currently serving as the Additional Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. She has been working in the state of Gujarat since 1997 and has a versatile experience in various cities of Gujarat. She has also worked as the Deputy Municipal Commissioner of Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. During this period, she worked on the number of JNN URM projects. She has also initiated the second revised draft of Government Plan 2021 as Chief Executive Authority, Ahmedabad Urban Development Authority. During her tenure, Ahmedabad was made and executed as a smart city. Ms. Thara has also worked as Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Gujarat Industrial Development Corporation, Thara. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Thara. It's a privilege to have you here with us today. May I now request you to please address our participants and audience.
We'd like to sit there and just speak.
I can speak from
Okay.
Rajat, you can operate from
I'll operate from here. We'll operate here.
from the last.
Yes. So
It's pleasing for the.
It's okay, I am part of.
It's nice.
I want
I can see her and listen.
Good evening. Thank you, GRAAM, for this opportunity. I had a choice. I'm thanking Babu sir for giving me choice. The question paper में choice ये बोल सकते हैं आप भी ये भी. So I think monitoring large scale government projects from practitioners' perspective. This is the thing which I selected. First of all, let me just put it in context that I work as additional secretary, but I head the national mission, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, which essentially deals with water for urban areas. 500 cities had taken up projects in the since 2015, and right now it has been expanded in the second phase to all the cities of India. Now, all the cities of India is 4,813 cities, which accounts for almost, we expect to have 40 crore population by another 2-3 years, and have at least 9 crore households to be attending to approximately. Now, urban and rural have very different dynamics. All of you know, I don't need to explain, but just for my satisfaction. See, in rural, the same problem will be affecting not more than, say, 1% of pollution or the water lack or air quality, or for that matter, lack of infrastructure. Whereas in urban, even if you are earning 15,000 rupees, you will be having a quality of life which is much, much worse than a poor rural area poor, which is, he might be just earning 2,000. Still, the ecosystem services are very much available to him. In urban, it is not. Kahin na kahin, you will get well water, kahin na kahin, pond water. Of course, there might be some pollution, but not that bad. Here you don't have ponds and lakes and wells. You are dependent on water supply from some centralized source which will go on and it has to come. So when we look at urban problems, they are actually very complex and different. The urban sector is not a sector. There's a interface of many sectors. Rural sector is not a sector. Again, urban has health, education, infrastructure, water, sanitation. Everything is urban. So when an urban area is being looked at, it has such a complex interaction of human beings, pollution, constraints, resource deprivation, and artificial productivity of human beings put together interact in a very small space. So that is what the challenge of urban is. If you look at rural, 60% of the population still of India is in rural area, but it still won't face a big crowd. Whereas 40% of population in urban area and in a very dense pocket. The density is so high that not even 5 square meters available per person in some of the slums, or even 1 square meter in some of the slums. So here is a challenge. See, the formation such will themselves present as a challenge when you are working in large scale projects. So I did one such large scale project, Amrut. Now, the second version of Amrut 2, which was launched by Honorable Prime Minister on October 1, caters to 4,813 cities and counting. Because as we talk, maybe 2 more cities got added. Actually, in India, if you look at it, the urban area has been artificially kept, the numbers, because some of the urban areas, which are equally urban, has not been converted to urban municipality. So there is this hardcore urban area, which is on paper urban area, and there is urban area in reality, but considered rural. Because there are considerations of NREGA, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, to be continued in that area, in urban areas. So there are compulsions. The semi-urban is the much worse and neglected areas. But let's talk about urban areas. We deal with urban areas, we don't deal with very urban areas. So when we look at large scale, I'm sure when you are implementing water supply schemes in 4,830 cities, you can call it large scale. See, any government project or government scheme has 4 important players. One is policy, other is process, the other is public, other is personal. Personal means the government people, the engineering department, the managing department, the administrative departments, regulating departments, so on and so forth. All these people have to work in tandem. But unfortunately, many times we don't understand it's a conversation. We think it's a monologue. How do you establish a conversation with 4,813 cities? Right? We're looking at broadly, everybody knows it's like you should be, you should not, people should not die because of pollution, water pollution. There should be reduction in waterborne diseases. There should be good water supply to every household. All this is, the objectives, laudable objectives which we all want to follow. It's so easy to say. Milna chahiye, ye hona chahiye. So what happens is when you formulate a mission, you look at water. Now I had a choice of looking at water supply. Okay, but I was in the field till 29. When I say field, legal field. Matlab hands on. So when I had to formulate this mission, I didn't talk about water supply. I talked about water second. The first term was about water. So when you are making a policy, your policy should be rounded. Unless you have a policy rounding about overall understanding of the context, you can never talk about a sustainable program. So if I had just defined water supply, then supplying water to households would have been the major objective. That means you lay a pipe, water can come from anywhere, and then you can supply water. Now, this scenario will suffice for present, but will it suffice for future? Or whether it is sustainable? Now, here we are completely discounting the fact that there is something called communities who are important in demand management, and they are not involved or in, we are not looking at the budget, right? We are talking about supply here. So that is where we started our policy, this thing. So it has to be water security. Water security in two levels. One is water security for a household. The water security for a household is very different from water security for a city, right? Having water underground in your aquifer, having water in your water bodies, having water, reuse of treated water, all this could be water security for city. But for a water security for a household, it means receiving water of a particular quantity, quality, and accessibility in the frequency you need for sustaining your lives. Right? These are two different angles. So then we realized one thing. So as far as policy is concerned, another major shift we did is, see, we usually give funds for after utilization. This time we said, okay, you utilize the funds. It is linked to your outcomes. So we use the word outcome. Now outcome could be anything. Tendering is one outcome. There is an intended outcome, there is a functional outcome. Intended outcome is when you take up a project and then you divide it into, see, so many stages. You cannot onboard a project till you tender it out. You prepare a DPR. DPR. Now again we realize when we say that states quickly put engineers together, prepare some projects, send it to us, and we approve. See, in a democracy, you don't have the luxury of sitting on projects for a long time, which comes from states. So, and you don't have all the wisdom to analyze and say this is correct and this is wrong. So when a city says this is what we want, it's supposed to be. I mean, there's no other way we can work on this. How do you make the cities more, thinking about their people is what the challenge is. So when I'm talking about policy, I said first we changed from water supply to water security, and therefore we brought in 360-degree angle of water. And second is we thought about outcome-based programs rather than just funding what you are doing. So outcome-based means water connections at the end of the day should be there. So first two installments we will give you for giving the tender, operating the project. The last installment is you will give us a roadmap how many water connections will have to come. Based on that, we will evolve the formula and give you the money. So the last installment is 40%. 40% goes when they achieve the number of. We are going to specify. They are going to specify. So that should emerge from so the process has to match all this, right? If you have a policy like this, the process has to match. So we looked at how do we see 4,800 cities dealing with them. How do you deal with them sitting in Delhi? Even a state will find it difficult to deal with a few hundreds of ULPs. So one of the things which we found is, actually it is only that, we took up a small challenge when we had to do launch Amru. We said all of them will sign MOU digital with us, all the units. So we could pull it off in 40 hours straight. Including states like, states which don't usually respond easily, including Northeast states where the data connectivity was there, we could pull it off in 40 hours. I mean, there's no exaggeration. That gave us the confidence that let's engage in digital plan. So we launched the Amrut 2 collaboration plan. If you call it, we have not said that it is a portal. We have not called it a, reporting online system. We have not called it a monitoring system. We called it Amrut 2 collaboration plan. This is a live plan in which what we said is, let us go on. And one thing we said in policy was, we said it's a paperless mission. And I mean it. Paperless means paperless. There is no paper involved anywhere except for calculations which are made in city. So we said each city has a page of this narration. And we asked them some specifications. First is to take stock of existing situation. So we said, let us first start with the first module was city water balance plan of each of these cities. Now 4,813 cities, 4,680 cities are completed this. This has been launched in December. Today we're talking in May. 4,680 cities have filled in this and completed. Veracity of the data, rightness of the data is a different cup of tea which will come. Next 10 cities are a page and they engage. So the data is coming from the city for formulating achieving our objectives together. It's their objective, not our objective. We are only intending those to be objectives, but they should. So we asked them, what is the amount of water you have? So we divided this whole thing into 3 verticals, water balance plan. One is water supply. Therefore, how much water you have, how much water infrastructure you have to treat, how much distribution line you have, how many households you cater to, and what is the gap. Penning in short. Similarly, used water. We went to used water. We said how much of water do you actually collect and treat? How many sewer connections you have? And we also took data of slums specifically, because the biggest challenge, whenever anything goes wrong, it goes wrong more with the poor. So we need to look at how a poor is being looked at in the city. And then third thing is, we looked at what is your water body. Now, in water balance, we wanted rejuvenation of water bodies. We didn't say rejuvenation, we said, please send us 3 water bodies for photos and with their details as they exist. Good or bad. See, this was done essentially to draw the attention of municipal people towards water. Otherwise, no municipal person goes and watches a water body with that thing. So, this was done to, this is the kind of water body photographs, and we have around 11,900 odd water bodies data on a portal just like this. So now a city has actually got out to work, and based on whatever they enter, a city water balance plan emerges. It says how much water is being supplied, how much is the gap, how much is required, how much is getting treated, how much is the gap, how much is the used water, how much is getting treated, how much is the gap. So there is a water balance summary which comes up. Now, this is crudely giving you completely idea how many slum boards are not being served, how many individual households are. So we are looking at the data from both city level and also household. So when this data emerges, that is the whole objective of city water plans. Now, when we are talking about it, it is pretty nuanced. I am not getting into the nonsense. Anybody who is interested can engage with us and we will explain that. What has happened is every city now has a budget in front of it. What I need, what I don't have. Okay, it may be wrong, it may be right, it may be observed, but once time cities have put their numbers on paper and looking at it very, very carefully. Next, based on this, what we wanted is the cities will prepare a water balance plan or water action plan. Now, what is water action plan? We said, okay, we are giving you this much money based on your urban population, urban area for each state. Now, cities are formulating projects based on the gaps, and this is also online. They propose the projects in water supply, used water, rejuvenation. Okay. Now, there is fungibility. Like if you completed your water bodies in the city, sorry, water supply is 100%. Many cities may have 100% or 95% whatever. So that you can go in for transferring that allocation, you can ask for more funds to go in for rejuvenation. But that's a dynamics between state and the cities, not between us and cities. Sitting in national government, I can see what cities are doing because it is data equity. Any online platform provides equity in terms of data analysis, etc. So as the cities start filling up, we could see. So today we have around 160 or 70 points in city water balance plan for each city. And we have so many projects. So far on this platform, we are talking in May, and this mission was launched in October and November of the guidelines released on December. We have sanctioned 41,000 crores of projects. Now, these are not projects which are just sanctioned like that. Every project, the detail is what is the project, how many households you're going to serve, which of all households you're going to give connections, and how many households which have existing connections will get service. See, this money is also used to replace existing infrastructure sometimes. Okay, if that money is not used, that infrastructure can go bad and those taps which are already working may go waterless. So this is what is about each of the project highlights of each of project is there, and we also know how many kilometer pipeline they are proposing, how much distribution pipeline they are proposing, how much transmission they are proposing, where is the water, whether they are using any sensor system to measure it. So this is all filled by the cities, and the cities push it to state. Now state has a particular responsibility. They signed a MOU saying we will recycle water. At the end of the mission, we will recycle 20% of the water. We are not asking at city level because it's impossible. Because many cities may have small this thing. But state level, they have to recycle 20% of the water, and 40% of industrial water should come from recycling at the end of the mission. So when we said, okay, we cannot give you money at once, so you send your projects to 3 towns. And there's a state share also. I mean, I won't get into those nitty-gritties. So if you look at this, as they make the projects, the whole system is intelligent. It shows your gap is 10 lakhs. You have made projects to cover 2 lakhs. So 8 lakhs is still remaining as per 2025 or 2030. So for example, in this state, Tamil Nadu, they have submitted this approval. I think they have so far approved 15 states, first tranche. 47 lakh gap identified, 4 lakh connections addressed through this process. So first time the state is able to look at its data critically clearly. And as it fills in the projects and the number of connections, this whole data gets revised. It's an intelligent system you get to see. You also get to see how much water they are treating. To see how much water they are proposing to recycle. Since it is the first tranche. See, anytime you engage with such platform, one of the major concerns is not correctness or accuracy. It is engagement. If somebody thinks, if somebody takes in plus a PhD on this EA galat hoga, wo galat hoga, that is not right. Galat hoga to hoga. National government में बैठ के आप कुछ नहीं, you can't do anything sitting in national government even if it is wrong. First, you should get them into a conversation. This is the way of getting them into a conversation. So when they did this, we went back and asked, you are actually treating around 25 mld. Why are you only reusing 5 mld? Can you please in the next tranche come up with a plan to reuse more water? Right? They've taken rejuvenation of water, but some of them didn't take. So we asked them, why are you not taking rejuvenation of water? But we had actually kept some money for rejuvenation only. So we said, okay, we will allow a special water action plan only at rejuvenation of water bodies because PM said, let's look at rejuvenation. So we said special swap. So what is happening in the conversation? We saw that many of the states, out of the 15 states which sent us proposals, 4 states had taken up water bodies for rejuvenation. Rest of them didn't take. So that means the engineering people are at work. They are looking at pipelines, connections. Maybe they need that, but they're not looking at rejuvenation. So what we said is, okay, 1,900 crores, 3,900 crores central assistance only for rejuvenation of water bodies across 5 years. But here we are going to ask for proposals of 1,300 crores, 1/3 of them in a focused manner in a week. Have you ever heard in a week people can prepare proposals and send it and get it approved in the district? But we can do it because we have been preparing them about their water bodies and telling them, please make a proposal. So we've allocated money to this place and they are making it. So we can do it if not in a week, 15 days. So this conversation mode is extremely important. See, I didn't have a policy like I wanted policy of rejuvenation, but how do I tell them? States have been asked, but none of the states will like to leave the money out. So they will immediately come out. I am hoping to get at least 1,000 water body data in the next 1 week on the portal with the photographs and with their plan. Of course, we have warmed them up for the past 2 to 3 weeks. The water bodies were focused on that. So this is what happens when you modify your process. Your process should be modified according to what is evolving. You cannot have a fixed goalpost that we have got to and it is done. And some cities are not one of the factors which contribute to water security. Your gear should be changed as we come back on. And if they take money under water body, you will be told, ये पैसा आपको water body rejuvenation के लिए होगा. If you don't take, then you lose it. So you can come for it. So which state will like it? So that is how you sort of change your when you do a large scale project. And it should be data based, it should be conversation based, and the data should come from there. We are not saying again, since it's first tranche, we are not crippling it. We are not saying that आपने reuse की तरह से नहीं बताया, we will not. No. That second tranche component. We will tell you the second tranche are not actually meeting the standards. Now, this is one thing. One is to tell them you are not meeting the standards. Keep making. Another is how to make them aware and engaged in that specific area. That's another angle which we need to get in. See, just because we give money, we cannot be big brothers and big sisters of a state or a city. It is more to handle them and involve them with them. Now, rejuvenation of water bodies get you. See, many cities, very interestingly said, some cities we don't have. See, because for us, we all as human beings, we have very limited understanding of what we have about us, right? So many times we are lost in our own world that we say there are no. Let's go to what we have data. We have satellite data, one portal, which is many. 1 is to 10,000 or 1 is to 50,000. All the water bodies are right. So what we did is we told the NRC, please give a dossier of all them. But don't give me a data dump. Give me an intelligent system when we look at least make shortlist 10 or 8 water sustains water for more than 7-8 months temporarily. They have temporal data. And then we push it to cities. And ask them to select 3 water bodies on their part to tell us which to further deepen and study. We can give you chlorophyll index, that means VOD. We can give you turbidity, and we can give you spread analysis. And we can give you land use land cover analysis. How much land use land cover changes. I'll show you the presentation, just open cursor. So when you're having this conversation, they should know that you have a way to engage with data. It's not so much democracy, but they tell us something and we do it. So, for example, this is what has been done in 10 cities and 200 cities. Those years are under preparation by August, and by another 2-3 months, another 5 months. 500 cities which are accounting for more than 65% of the population will have this data pushed to them. So, this is what is the this thing which we have done. We took up this city cover. Suryapet ka ek year. So they have temporal data of 2012 से लेके अभी तक. Okay. So the satellite compares and gets the data is available, but what is important is the decision making support, which has to be given to us. See, so if you go and tell them that this is very interesting. See, Pullaredi Cheru Suryapet. Okay, you see it at a particular time, and you see it after that, and you see there is actually those pink ones. Show the next pink. Pink ones are those where that area is reduced. Means the water body area is getting reduced. There is activity of encroachment happening. And we have a line in the sky. You can use that technology for going as detailed as possible. Even without spending money, you can push this data to the city managers. Now, when you ask them to rejuvenate water bodies, they will not respond in the first place. But when you give them, push them this data, they can't ignore this data because this is not something which we manufacture. This is just data which is available, which is getting pushed. So when you are engaging in a channel, you need to use parallel channels of communication to evoke the response from them. That's a very, very important process which should be followed. So this is what we do. We did. Now we are sending to we'll be sending to them and ask them to select 3 water bodies what they want to rejuvenate or look at. And detailed study of that will be done by the NRS and push to them. So here our idea is not to tell them what their water bodies are. Here the idea is to bring them to the focus on water bodies and then to look at it very critically in terms of quality, quantity. Now this is just satellite pictures. There's one more tool which we are using to get them on board cities. That is spatial surveillance. We have done this pilot in 9 cities and we are going to now start in 500 cities this year. Next March, we will have wonderful data. Now, spatial surveillance, we have done in 8 cities to study what can be done, what cannot be done. Essentially, it consists of utility services, water utility services, used water utility, best practices, infrastructure, community engagement, rainwater harvesting, and then water bodies rejuvenation, so on and so forth. Non-revenue water, how much it is, right? Now, non-revenue water measurement is a huge difficult thing. Usually difficult because there is no way to measure non-revenue water. Non-revenue water in India means 2 things. One is water for which user charges are not paid. 2, leakage of. But you know the best upside of it, because Indian pipes leak, lot of aquifer recharging happens. It's a aquifer recharging happens because of leakage of pipes. So, there is positive impact. So we all think that it's water is getting wasted. It doesn't get wasted. So recharge is. The problem is. So next, show. See, I want to show you very interesting. So it's already done. So for water supply coverage, how much supply coverage is there? Similarly, we have made almost 2,100 marks for this. We have done it. We have standardized it. And similarly for used water. Then what's water bodies? Now, next. Best practice. Now, all that we have done. We did it for 8 cities. And how do you come about? When you come, you cannot communicate such a presentation to a city and say this is what you are. So we came up with very, very good representation of all this. PDF there? Yeah. So now you will see this progress report for all of them. For example, the grant total is 81.3% for students. Okay, access and coverage. If you see the thing, see the first one is you see a great good this thing. So second is service levels. So whichever service level is good, like 35.6%. Citizen outreach. Actually, citizen outreach 23% in Surat. What are the citizens who could judge the It's all engineering. Financial sustainability, how much user charges they collect, what do they do? Sustainability parameters, like availability of district metered areas also. So if you look at it, this is how its progress report comes. So as I told you, a channel cannot be single channel. Spatial surveillance is a third-party analysis of your water sector services in the city. NRSC is going, Urban Water Information System is to tell you what your water bodies are, how they are behaving, what is happening. So you are providing data like this. One is a competition approach, one is an enrolling approach, and then you are asking them to send their water scores. So, you know, the way you manage this will lead to how they respond. And one more thing is when you look at, then I come to person. See, if you only rely on existing government ULB people and the contractors, you will get the same level of outputs. Right? One is you have to change the way they think. So outcome-based approach helps. Second is how do you onboard more people into the space? You are as good as your contractors. The contractor is nalai, the municipal commissioner is nalai. That is, there's no change. Because the fellow, when he comes into a city, only sees what a contractor has done. What a municipal commissioner is great shapes, nobody knows. So the best way to bring in that, expand that space is one, bring down the barriers, get a new energy. There are two ways you can get a new. One thing we did is we started telling, we have launched the challenge today. I think we have 160 or 70 startups which have applied in that space. Water sector startups to be onboarded directly to work in cities with a 20 lakh funding. So we launched a challenge, we got these people on board. Now we're going to shortlist and put them into 100 startups we want to shortlist, which are mature ideas, which are working. 20 lakhs only we are giving, but the very fact that they are going to engage with the cities, that is the biggest opportunity. But 20 lakhs is also quite a good amount for demonstrating it. So here there is no ban. Straight away. Second thing we have done is, we have also said contractors will be. Usually we train only the capacity building means it is done only for government. Everybody else don't need capacities, even if they lack. Right? So if contractors, this space has to expand. Otherwise, you may have lesser government training. You need to have fix your tender documents, the way you structure your PPPs and so on and so forth. But you need a lot more training in the contractors. How do they dig the road? How do they put that thing? How do they take a longitude section of a mangrove? How do they put it? All that needs a lot more detailing and purely highly engineering job. Water infrastructure is not a emotional job. It's not awareness angle. Awareness angle is very, I would say, smaller part of it compared to engineering. So the complexity in a system is there, and that complexity has to be acknowledged. So we have to build capacity of contractors. So far we have initiated training and we have trained 400 contractors across 8 states. As good as how do you turn a pipe? कौन सा पेन यूज करना है कैसे जाएगा पानी so and so. It's like water supply is the easiest infrastructure today, but used water infrastructure is very difficult. So it's very important to look at that. See, STP is nothing but microorganisms. It's not even 7 times your big. If you allow just water to flow through 500 kilometers, all the domestic sewage will be pure and nice. Okay, it's not anything very, very big. All the same microorganisms. The STP is nothing but purpose region में आप पानी treat करो. So what we have realized is when you are interacting and making, it's not monitoring of large scale projects. It is actually engaging and having a conversation and getting all the ends connected. So if somebody says, no, I will send this project, you are sending them the beggar solution. I think validating, of course. Then that commission is a little worried. There are citizen outreach team. So they will say, we will do it. But again, when you manage such processes, to the cities, you cannot give numbers or a report. Nobody has the time or energy or patience to study. So it is better to give them what they have to listen to. Just a page, half a page, but tell them what you are doing. So the art of communication in that process should be very, very clear and crisp. So the third thing we said, as I said, why not involve youth and women? Why would youth and women involved in this program? I mean, in an urban area, any youth or women should take time over time. Is it agricultural economy that you sow a seed and seed will grow and you will go on harvest? Every day you have to go to work. Even if your wife asks you what breakfast to make, you say, कुछ भी बनाओ ना यार भाई यार. Now people talk as if urban area where everybody is involved in decision making and they will tell you what to do. It's not possible. It won't happen. In urban area, everybody is busy. Only if you don't get a service, they will remember you. Otherwise, they don't remember you. You don't need to be. They won't thank you also. So urban area has a different dynamics. This community engagement, the stakeholder consultation, all this is good jargons. But urban area, data comes in somewhere. When a pipe leaks, they send the data. They complain. Okay? Pipe leaks, data comes from a particular area for some time. Data mining has to be done. To fix it, this is the weak point. This is the weakest value in that system. Right? This is where urban data management, community engagement. They don't come and say, please take our time. we will sit with you and we will decide correct things. It's a free care to hear. So, data comes. The urban data comes in a different form. It is also community engagement. In their own busy ways, they are committed. So, so in patient submission, we are also adding the time. How fast to read those grievances, how many grievances, what is your system online? And you make reforms in the running. The reform is if you put in an online and if you have a service level benchmark and you are meeting that, you get some points and get some. So a project management is not a linear approach. Your objective should be clear, but you will go, there should be 10 routes to reach there. That is the kind of process and facilitation you should do. You are not here to criticize and say, अच्छा तुम्हारा pipeline ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, तुम भी ठीक नहीं चल रहा. So you are not here. So you have to tell them, look, see, this is the data. Now data pushes them to think and rethink and respond. Right? It is same. Hardcore data, there's no fudging of the data. Satellite is satellite. It's not this thing. Here, cancel selection data. We have interviewed 1,000 individuals, name and documentation to find out in a city, size of 1 lakh population or so, to find out the various what's happening. So they cannot neglect the data. They can give a pointer, we can always incorporate. So it's very important when you do large scale projects to use technology, but two-way data from cities, data to cities, and then truth and facts to cities, which cannot be contended against. At the same time, engaging. And then also identify which projects are moving, why they are moving, how they are moving, and why not they are moving. Okay, so this is what I would say is very important. So your goalpost should shift every day. Nothing should be cast in stone. Number two, it should be customized to every city. It cannot be one size fits all. It cannot be even within a city one size fits all. You may have estimated 9,000 rupees per person per capita to be spent to give a water connection. It may cost, instead of 40,000 rupees for a household, it may cost around 1 lakh. But you need to have a lot of detailing as to why it is happening. You are now able to see itna hai. So we asked, like Meghalaya had submitted, they said we want 20 MLD of treatment, whereas they exactly needed only 5 to 7 MLD at this point. So we asked them the question, so they had to give us a reply. Why are you putting up 20 MLD capacity? Why do you need that? Whereas we only say future ka demand be incorporated. So they say 20, 30 may be. So we will be checking it. So there is a conversation. It's a equal conversation. The data comes from it. We only ask them, आप जो बोल रहे हो मेरे को समझ में नहीं. I'm not able to understand what you say. You're not saying your data is. Remember that. What you communicate is important. So then they come and say, okay, we thought like this and we have to. We say, okay, if you do it like this, what? So then one more thing. If you say recycle, why are you not recycling? That's a very good authoritarian approach. Another thing we have commenced is, we have now analyzed what are the SDPs which we have built in Inaugural 1. And we went for third-party audit of them and found out which are the ones which are working, what is the design capacity, what is the functional capacity, and when are the reviews. We found out that they refer to 900 MLD reviews, but whereas we could only get around 550 MLD reviews from, which means that they are not punching the data so much. So then we said, okay, if we go to them and say, you are already reusing this much, why don't you reuse more? Instead of that, the approach has been, let us map all the industrial estates, all the thermal power stations in a GIS and put this water getting treated and link it up. And give them a recipe. Right? ऐसा भी use करो. Now, some may accept, some may not accept. It's okay. But as a facility, national government facility, data to match, meet their aspiration. What you are suggesting. Like him say, it cannot be done. Then they have to reason it out. If you go and ask, why are you not doing it? You can ask the university. They are power. So when you manage large scale projects, your objective should be clear, but your policy should be clear. But your processes and policies according to this. Even on a day-to-day basis, that we change. It should be transparent. it should be data driven, and it should be intelligence driven. Data is too voluminous, many times and then it cannot be single channel. There has to be multiple channels of communication of various aspects, and finally bring them down to, okay, let me understand why this is not happening. This is how we can manage a large scale. That's what we are doing. I probably think we have the biggest of the data sets about water. Now imagine the usefulness of this data. I know exactly in 41,000 crores how many kilometer pipelines are to be used for distribution. 23,000 kilometers, 25,000 kilometer pipeline is being used. Transmission lines around 2,400 in big diameter. STPs having. So I exactly have. Imagine talking with this data to industry. And telling them what to do. I don't think it is from the youth and women onto this. We said, okay, please go and check. We brought out an app called Amritam. Very interesting. So Amritam app is to capture the water connections and the quality of water in satisfaction of the citizens on an app and upload it. See, once the city is uploaded, contractors will give connection uploaded. It is checked by students through engineering colleges and other colleges. So what we did is 5 connections for a gig. Okay. Now this gig can be picked up by any student, and each connection checking will get him 100 rupees. If he accepts 5 connections, he gets 500 rupees. So far, we have done the pilots. We have got some responses from students. We are actually sorting out the last DPP part, because when we asked for their account number, they were not willing to give. They have not seen it earlier. If we understand the underlying mechanism of this, if this succeeds, the way government works can change. It is going to be difficult, but we have reached that place where the students have picked up links, checked, and uploaded. Now we need to actually pay. So when they asked for their account numbers, they were not. So we went through UPI. We said, let's go to UPI. Mobile number, they go. Hum paisa wait. So for that, we have to open an account, get that going. So that process is on. Imagine tomorrow a gig has to be created, and with the SOP, you can create a gig for laying a pipeline also. You can create a gig for filling water also. But this is the first low entry barrier jahan hai wahan. Imagine a student getting 500 rupees for checking 5 connections. Pocket money. That will not do it. If you streamline this process, it can be done so. SHG women can do it. Right? See, even if you check 2,000, 3,000 connections randomly, properly, then you will at least get to know what is the reach of your program. This is what we are doing. All this is based on technology, data, intelligence into the system, and each one working with each other in a seamless way. It's a massive exercise, massive exercise, but we do it with a lot of passion. We have teams which we have now just got out project monitoring module. This is the project monitoring module. So this will itself be, I'm going to give access to this to the contractor. Contractor will upload this. So here is the equity item, that you bring everybody on part and talk to them in that language. I don't say we will be 100%, but there's no other way to do a scheme or it is around $14 billion. When you have a $14 billion mission, I think it's around $11 billion going as assistance from central, another $15 or $16 billion coming from states as matching. $27 billion mission cannot be handled on a paper approach. Then the reform model which is to come, which also has money riding on it, but that is still a number. What I wanted to show you is this is truly a paperless mission. I'm glad to say that I have data about every city. There are cities where I found STPs, there's no sewer networks. Then I realized if a STP is built because somebody gave money in the multilateral money, they did the STP. Sewer networks are not. So these are things which come up. So I would only say this is the way we manage our business. This is what I want to tell. I don't take anything more.
So much, say a lot of time.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
You can take a few questions.
Yeah. So anybody with questions for Ms. Thara? We can spend a couple of minutes on this.
Well, exactly. Nobody.
Yes.
So there's so much of data, and I think what you have pointed out is that you are right now in the phase of kind of motivating people to first of all enter the data, start coding it, start. But there's also a part about the analysis of it. Now that you have so much right now, is there a thought around that? Because that's something which has to go in parallel, if I understand this.
Very good question. Yes, there is a thought about it, and we are putting in a team of dedicated analytics. See, what happens is many a times we mistake data as something, and if a city has put in a data, it might be wrong. Okay. So if you put in an analytics team, it has to be dedicated and very, very confidentially, and getting back only to the cities and cities. Many times I see that when data is given for analysis outside, again, चार research paper and that leads to a lot of harm because the guys who are writing research papers are not grounded in the context. They think it's so easy to do. So that is why I'm very careful about. We've already started analyzing the career. For example, I know every project in some states the per capita connection is around 1.5 lakhs. Per capita, one household connection. Whereas I expect not more than 40,000-45,000 as per town grade. Then I go back and say, what are they changing? Are they replacing existing? And you find a lot of. So data analysis is happening, but accuracy of data analysis will only come with a dedicated. So we are now mobilizing a dedicated. Because even to see all this has happened without a single complaint from the cities. How does that happen? When a team works day in, day out with the cities to train them to get accustomed to such a platform and put in their data, put in their. So it's a very, very, very intense exercise. So now analytics team will come. It has to be responsible. I have to really already the team, there is dedicated people for states and they are analyzing things and telling. Like for example, somewhere sometimes instead of updating MLD, they just straight away put the numbers. Latest. So then the data is, remember, like they said 24,000 ml, I mean, liter, 2,14,000. If you put an MLD to it, it's like whole world of funds. So now those things do happen and be correct. But that kind of correction happens. Now the insights into this data analytics, we will be up. And the more important analysis is what are the questions you want to ask to get the analysis. That we will be putting in. But already there's a preliminary analysis to understand enough. When we approve the 15 states, we go through their projects. We ask them. Overall, we ask them why not in this vertical. Each project we go through. We say you have put this much. So you're spending 20 lakh rupees, 20 crore rupees, but you're only serving 2,000 households. Then they come out, no, this word is very far. So all that kind of thing happens. But I want a dedicated team who can do it more systematic. That we are doing.
Thank you. Anyone else with any queries, any questions?
I have a question. Totally interested in the infrastructure of data that you've gone through. The question I have is, everyone here is here to learn the methodologies of program evaluation and policy analysis. If you were to put out a call for proposal for evaluation of your program, what is that you'll be looking for in the response to your call for proposal? What is important for you at this stage of the program? I understand the end result will happen sometime later. At this stage of the program, what any evaluator can offer to your program that you think will be valuable?
At this point, when cities are just about putting in their projects for a, I would rather use the evaluators for evaluating Amrut 1. 500 cities which have done projects. What has been wrong in them? Why? How much infrastructure has been put? How much have been leveraged to functional outcomes? Inefficiencies. Whether there are measuring capabilities through sensors or SCADA. Why it is not happening? I mean, what are the missing links in it? All that will come from in a project.
Sure.
Whereas in this, we don't want to evaluate at this point of time to a great extent, except that we would like to see why some cities go for water supply alone, why some cities go for used water, and why some cities don't even bother to take up rejuvenation. It simply happens. It depends on which group of people you do. So that is where your awareness have to be broadened. So that, right now, my evaluation will be for the projects which are which we do. Like STPs, I have evaluated 79 STPs, which have been published of 2,200 every across the country. And I found a lot of insights. Based on that insights, I'm coming up with a program that your STP, this is the industrial cluster or the thermal power station. Please see whether there's a mixing. So that is what we learned. But instead of asking them why you are not recycling, you show them the possibilities. That is coming. And same way, one more activity is going to come up as aquifer. So we are looking at whether there is CGWB data and also NRC, both of them put together can come up with the aquifer data of existing Indian cities and its peri-urban. So we are looking at that. Because there is enough water is both on the ground, below the ground. There's the interplay between the two which will sustain water supply. Even today, 50-60% of water comes from groundwater, more than that in Indian cities. So we need to look at that and what is the recharging structure. But taking the conversation, see, one is having knowledge, intelligence, we do it here. I can do any amount of work and give any amount. But my big challenge is how do I engage the cities and get them to a conversation around this so that they work on it.
Yeah, my question was also centered around your last point that you made, that would there be an interest in trying to understand how your approach is engaging cities, engaging these municipalities to be able to be good consumers of data and be able to read the reports that they're getting back and engage meaningfully in ways that is working for them. So would that be something that becomes your kind of intermediate goalpost as you're working in line?
Go through the day. See, if I don't have meaningful engagement coming from, I cannot get them to engage and put in so much of. This is not something which I entered from myself. So that is a day-to-day. Wow. To engage, the cities have to believe in the system. They have to believe in their own data. They have to put it up. They are willing to see the gaps. They are filling in the gaps through projects. So this is where cities. So it's a everyday. Everyday requirement the city should believe in. See, you cannot get 4,600 cities to fill in this data if they didn't believe in this. Not only cities, the states have to do. Each state may have 400 or 500. So states, cities, in fact, I can go into many details. I just wanted to show you. It's too tedious to go through. The states have to do their due diligence. Like there are PPP projects warranted in Indian plus is up to 10% of the total. So that whether they are doing, they're not done in tranche. When they fill up the tranche, the system will grow. You have not proposed any recycling. You have not proposed any PPP projects. Kindly please. You have not taken up rejuvenation. So it's an intelligent system. It is going to push that. But that we are keeping it for second term. The first tranche we didn't want any breaks. Second tranche will be breaks and asking questions and carrying comments. More comments. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much. Sorry, apologies. Thank you so much, Ms. Thara, for an enriching presentation. I think it was completely in sync with what we learned today regarding policy cycle, challenges, execution, implementation, etc., which was taken by the Dr. Ananya Samajdan. We've also spoken a little about the Amrit program on our social media platforms, just trying to analyze and explain. Definitely, with this session, there'll be a lot more that we'll be able to talk about. So thank you so much. I would now welcome Surendra Nath Tripathi, IAS officer of the 1985 batch of Odisha cadre, and MA in Political Science from Allahabad University, and MBA in Public Policy. Okay. He's currently serving as the Director General, Indian Institute of Public Administration. Mr. Tripathi, in his over 35 years of service, has worked in departments like Panchayati Raj, Information Technology, MSME, Oil Board, Department of Agriculture Research, and Education. Mr. Tripathi, I would now like to call you upon to address our participants. Thank you.
Listening to somebody from 9:30 a.m. onwards. It was the 10th. The first message today I got from Dr. Malkar, I am arriving at 9:30. So that was the message that I got, that you were in for a lot of lecture. And after a little speech by Honorable Director Thara, Thara, and myself speechless in the way you were questionless. But fact remains, friends, that more data does not make you wiser. Maybe I am only school person. I do believe it is the relevant data that makes you wiser, not the more data. How you collect and collect the data that makes you wiser, not how much. I am reminded of a joke, I would like to share it. Since it is a lot of question about water, I thought I will start from there. They are saying that जो पानी से नहाते हैं लिबास those who take bath in water they only change their clothes. जो पानी से नहाते हैं और लिबास बदलते हैं, जो पसीने से नहाते हैं वो इतिहास बदलते. Those who take bath with their love and sweat and labor, they change the course of history. We just heard a colleague of mine telling about how she was using water, small thing like water, maybe a big thing also, I don't know, reduce the importance. But water as a means of convergence of government, water as a means of changing the atmosphere, water as a means of changing the physical power of Gagan Samira, all the five tattvas in giving somebody water. So nothing is small in this world. Only thing is that we plant properly, it can happen. One more example that she gave, that is Amrit by using technology. Now she can predict, project, analyze, and perhaps even discipline those who believe that build, abandon, and rebuild is the only option that government has. First you build somewhere, then you leave it, let it destroy, then after some time another wisdom comes, there's a rebuilding. This government will be. It has started the saturation approach. Help and none. It was unthinkable event plan. India in 47 could not provide 1 meter of pipe if everybody wanted 1 meter of pipe. Today we are projecting that every house will get a tiered pipe water connection. It's not a small dream. Not a dream of few people. The whole state is behind such dreams. Not only one, there are many more dreams which are happening, which are people say that सपने चलने लगे. पहले सपने के लिए सोना पड़ता था, अब सपनों के लिए जगना पड़ता है. अब सपने रास्ते में चलने लगे, दिखने लगे हैं. How it can happen? And that is the change in the attitude of the past. That is what we said that they were earlier over-managed and under-led. Today we are well-managed and over-led. That will have its impact. Government requires these reorientation at that periodic intervals. I always remember Dr. Baldwin, we said that we the people should become high citizens. We the people created this republic. In fact, ROI in business term is return on asset. I call it Republic of India. Managing republic is not a small thing. You will go mad in case you are given full charge, even as Prime Minister. Same urban ministry was giving इस साल 10,000 कनेक्शन दे दो, इस साल देखेंगे. वो 10,000 कहाँ जाएंगे जिधर वार्ड मेंबर का घर हो, जिधर माननीय एमएलए का रिकमेंडेशन हो, जिधर डॉक्टर तारा करतूत का रिलेटिव किसी का घर हो, और जिधर मेरा भी कुछ हो. So we were picking and choosing even in development. When you go for saturation, this type of distortion in policy in implementation doesn't take place. Only reduced to PPP. Not defined in the way it's understood, but today it has become participation. It has become participation for public purpose. When you participate for public purpose, your profitability goes for a fix. Government doesn't bother what is the cost of it. Earlier cost norms there. When I was collector, we were developing a toilet for 600. We have made so many toilets. They were also used for a day or two. But today government is giving 12,000 rupees. 12 government is giving full house with 2-room, bedroom and all those things. When you go for saturation approach with a clear intent that we want make your ease of life, it is not a tokenism. किसी एक को टॉयलेट, किसी एक के घर में जल, किसी एक के घर में बिजली का बल्ब, किसी और को एक गैस कनेक्शन, और जिसको कुछ नहीं मिला तुम एक टेलीफोन ले जाओ. If you call it development, God can say all data will be perfect. Operation successful, which patient is dead. Development requires reorientation. And if Republic of India has to manage, we have to reorient ourselves. We have too far long analyzed and sang the song of trickle down, or what we call it project Tiger approach. Tiger only survives if all the species in the food chain survive long term. It is good for managing forests, but not managing human beings. And I differ with Dr. Babu that in tribal must be consulted. They should be consulted, yes. But and I have demanded of what the court said, had I consulted my customer before inventing a car, the customer should have simply told us, give me faster passes, which I would have never produced, and I would have to close my car back. I did not listen to the customer. I came out with a car, and car became it's no longer extended. Everybody must have it. When BlackBerry was showing that when you 10 years earlier, sir, when you go to a meeting, you first put your BlackBerry on the table. That was sign of arrival. Boss has come, BlackBerry is on the table. And BlackBerry itself was also arrogant enough that our keyboard nobody can go. Apple removed the keyboard itself. And today Apple is ruling the world. But you can't get a screen, every tablet has a keyboard. It doesn't require ODI translation or it require RP translation. That's what innovation can make when you think of scale. I've been to Israel for training. I talked to some of the startup that was 89, I think, when the startup was not a language. They said, when I put up a shop anywhere in Israel, I don't think that Israel is my market. We produce for the world from day one. And the village that kibbutz that I visited was exporting 5 billion worth of article to US Navy in 1999 when I visited. 5 billion is not a small money, but even today. But if our neighbor Pakistan is 5 billion, they will survive another 10 years to plot against India. 5 billion exported from one village from India. That's what we call it. They say forward for us, we never planned that we will sell in India. We always plan for the global market. Reverse was true in India. We were fed up with the CETA company, we suspected every company. Every company has come to rule India, so company must be tightened with 1700 rules, 900 acts. In fact, out of that, 1,340 provisions for giving them jail for doing business. You forget ease of doing business. There is a study which is there available on the net, you can find out jail for doing business. ORF has come with this. I was DC, MSME, and when we looked into how many acts keep the industry under the check, there are 1,248 acts of Government of India alone. There are 28 states more. If you put up all the acts, it becomes 6,000 acts. Each act has 50 provisions, so therefore 15 to multiplied by 5,000. All these acts have rules which are stronger than that. All those rules have notifications which are not traceable but more strong. And all those rules and actual notifications have got code adjudication, which nobody gets except advocates. And there are 60,000 such do's and don'ts. You are running a small factory. Can you think that anybody can do business again? If in spite of that, our business is not doing great, there must be worship, not change. There should be celebrating, not ignored. Today the time has come that when government itself is talking for ease of doing business. This government, as Prime Minister very, very laudably said, that I'm not here to make one more act. I take pride in enforcing one more act. And after rules, bureaucracy loves it. More rules means more power. Who will get that power? Not Balu. Thara and me. Even after retirement also. Because those rules create powers. And those powers create confusions. More rules, more power. And even if you break the system, it will not work. And in its capacity, we did new capacity as capacity building commission. Dr. Balu and his team must be realizing it. Why I am always right without achieving the target, and why somebody is always wrong despite me doing that. It requires a total reset. In fact, what we call it, the operating system of bureaucracy needs a overhaul. We have to reboot, reimagine everything, and thankfully things are happening. We just saw an example of urban water supply. Water bodies where they are on the ground. Today require computer tomorrow. Encroachers are moving around and they might be sitting somewhere with white kurta somewhere. All encroachers are not poor people. If the poor are rented out, they live on rent on those encroachments. If anybody wants to see, they have to go to Thara, you will find out. The market capitalization of Thara market is more than the total market value of Odisha's capital province. But in order they are nuisance, we have to co-opt. Urban has become in fact, I always say this may be different from the government policy. In urban, you require people to do your job. The moment they finish your job, they become persona non grata. You don't want to pay them in minimum wage. Just say that you should live in only in 5-star hotels because you can't encroach. They are dependent sector. While they were growing till the horizon with another 30-40 years, we will have 60% Indians living in cities. Water resources are not coming out from the Bihar and Patna and to the urban area. Water to Afghanistan is not transportable. It is not portable. We have to understand how we will manage this growing trend of urban lives. And in that situation, we have to realize what will be the role of public policy, how it is made, what is the role of GRAAM and it is evaluated. And given if that evaluation happens, you find out why it all happened, because we were always underfunded, underplanned, and overmanaged. Now, for the first time, we are realizing the global project model. She is talking about 41,000 crores, it is not small change, which was the total budget of Odisha when they joined. Now that is being spent in one scheme. When you put money, you see budget. Nobody compares what is the cost of APS school and what is the cost of a Chota Vidyalaya and somewhere. I think we the people and the grassroots democracy people know this. Teachers are on proxy, parents are on proxy, building is on proxy. When God, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh become teacher, the students are paid to pay. होता नहीं पढ़ के फेल होता है बच्चा, very more he reads, more he will pay. And today we are in a new situation where every year of additional schooling makes you less employed. Only 20 years back we were told that every year of schooling gives you 10% additional pay. Today if you are passing out at 12 and becoming a driver, you might get 30,000 in IAP or any other government. But you are running out a BA, 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 become or BTech,
you will get job at 15,000. I'm not criticizing the quality of education. I'm only saying employability of the person itself. At least new education policy we are not trying to change. That we should produce as many engineers and doctors and that economy can absorb, our global economy can absorb. We can't have Thana in every household. We don't have Pandits in every household also. But we might need service sector employees and we dignity of labor, many more things need to change. A limited part is that I will not bother you at 7 p.m. regarding the हमारा तो कितना ज्यादा हम सोचते कि आप लोग तो भी नहीं करना चाहते. But fact remains that public policy has a text and context. Many times the regulators read the text, they forget the context. And I will urge upon you when you are going to the regulator, are going to understand any public policy, any event, right from GPRA being done in America, or Evidence-Based Act being done in America, or our own RMPs and many other indexes that government is going. In fact, now we are suggesting citizens engagement index also. How citizens feel for whom the whole republic smiles. If there is voice for the republic, for the people, or there is no public in the republic. When you want to understand the voice of the people, you have to respect the joy of the people. We are the only country where we have transferred power 17 times without single revolution. We have perfected our economics. We have created 22 million bureaucrats who are there to serve the country. We have grown from 3% now 9%. We are nearly $3 trillion now. We should be proud of our achievement, and then we should build upon. Instead of being overcritical, as if this is the right time to commit mass suicide. और कुछ नहीं हो सकता, बहुत कुछ हो सकता, हो भी रहा है. We just saw a glimpse of it in urban sector what we are doing. Who thought that? In fact, it is unthinkable to me, sir, when I was implementing IRDB, how to find out the poor there will be coming. We didn't know who is the poor. How to submit the project on that poor there is intelligent coming. That poor will decide that मेरे को 3,000 रुपये चाहिए मेरे बच्चे को शादी करनी है. Some consultant will come automatically come the bill. तो 5,000 का लोन ले ले, तेरे को 3,000 शादी में भी काम आएगा. 2,000 कुछ कर ले. बोला 5,000 में क्या करूँगा? बोले ट्यूबवेल पंप का मिल रहा, ट्यूबवेल ले. उसको चाहिए गाय, उसको ट्यूबवेल का लोन दे रहा. चल गाय नहीं मिलेगी, ट्यूबवेल नहीं मिले, कुछ और ले ले, चल भैंस ले ले. जब वो वीडियो के पास आएगा, बोले देख हमको 2 भैंस ले ले, एक भैंस बेच देना. दूसरे बच्चे की शादी हो जाएगी, दूसरे भैंस पाल में लोन सोच दे. Ultimately, both of these, along with video, go to the market to buy and to buffaloes. They think that 6,000 में भैंस मिलती नहीं. दाम बढ़ गया, हम जान गए आज वीडियो खरीदने आ रहा. तो जो 6,000 की भैंस उसके दाम 11,000 बोले. तो बोलते हैं एक काम कर तू भैंस क्या खरीदी तो छोटा घर है चलेगी और 2 भैंस से क्या करेंगे 4 बकरी ले ली. बोला हाँ गुड प्रोसेस 2 के बदले में 4. सर मेरे को 3,000 मिलेगा ना बच्चे की शादी के लिए. हाँ मिलता है. बोला एक बकरी बेच देना 3,000. तो 4 बकरी लेके गाँव लौटता है, लोन लेके आएगा किसी का. एक बकरी उसी दिन काट डालता है बिकॉज उसी सेलिब्रेट. बकरा बड़े लोगों के देने में काम आता है बिकॉज बकरा कमा बच्चा. मैंने सुना and in this process we created vast number of people who were born parties. To get a loan of 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, the fellow had to spend at least 3,000 rupees to the system, get a worthless asset for 10,000 rupees, and he has to pay by selling his portable land or asset he had to repay back this 10,000. Cost of getting that 10,000 was at least 3,000, if not more. And it was right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. That's the one thing bureaucracy very similar in charging the corruption. Our rates are fairly similar and fairly ubiquitous at least. They're not technology driven, they are WhatsApp now. Video, Indian video, they don't charge different. What we did today, we said, you open a bank account, link it with Aadhaar, link it with mobile. Your entitlement will go directly to your account. No video, no MLA, no Thara, no Surendra, no one can even smell it. This is sea change. Mudra loan, you must have heard about it. Is an underwritten story, less publicized story of India. 42 crore people were linked to the bank. Highest ever banking inclusion in the globe, on the globe. Nobody writes it because it happens to be Hindi. People will write that no longer bandhe ko kare, chanda laga liya. That is the news and economic times. They will not like 42 crore accounts being opened. 42 crore household linked to the bank. 42 crore people are getting their entitlement at zero cost to them. 100% zero cost. There may be some hereafter here and there, but after getting 10,000. Now we have to ask money from him. Earlier he was giving him less money and then getting more significant. Things are changing. Friends, we take a Mudra loan itself. Street vendors, I think the best scheme of urban ministry. When Corona was in full swing, on 27th of May, this was announced. On 31st of July, 1 million accounts were opened. Same month, same year. 27th of May, the scheme was announced. On 31st of July, 1 million applications were collected. And by end of December 31st, I think more than 1 million loans were sanctioned. And amount were credited without single BLW, FP, MA, secretary, joint secretary, director, preparing officer, and so forth civil society. None were engaged. And the government wants to work, government can. Public policy is more of intent than we should question the intent, not the consequence. Consequences will depend upon how much money you put. If you don't measure, it will not happen. The management saying. You start measuring too much. Measurement itself goes at its part. Where the people would like to achieve that target. But also we have achieved it. Because this is the fine art of achieving it. If you ask me to build a Taj Mahal, ₹1.5 बनाना है, ₹1.5 का वो भी बनाना है. Taj Mahal नीचे कुछ prove करना वो भी हम prove कर देंगे. Very few species in the world has so much of capability, what we call it. But we require bureaucracy because otherwise, whims and pleasure of politicians will be too much. We require separation of power. We require hierarchy of power. You require an intelligent mindset. Deliver things. You don't require a political culture to take place where Mera and Mere becomes more important than Jansa. You require a permanent bureaucracy to deliver. But this permanent bureaucracy has to be shaken from it. So that they talk sense, they don't talk. I will not say nonsense. Thank you very much.